All right, so this is the RFK. Is on CNN talking with Dana here. So we're gonna I'm not even get too much in detail. I'm just gonna let them talk. My other video goes over some of the proof and stuff that I'll probably be saying during this video, just so you know. Anyways, here we go.
And placing nearly all the blame on the COVID pandemic and the way that the U.S. responded to it squarely with Dr. Fauci. But of course, he worked for President Trump. Does President Trump also?
So she don't even mention. I don't even think Joe Biden whatsoever. Even though the whole time Fauci was pretty much saying all the fear mongering stuff was during Joe Biden's term, the whole like 4 years.
Deserve some of the blame.
Well, President Trump.
Yeah, and we're just gonna mention Trump. Just Trump part of the blame, but we're not gonna mention Joe Biden. Oh, okay.
As you recall, wanted to end the lockdowns. I think the thing that did the most damage to our country was the lockdowns. The lockdowns that shut down 3.5 million businesses in our country with no due process, no just compensation. All of our churches closed, our schools, and our children are still paying the price for that. And yet we had the worst outcome of any country in the world.
How so?
We have the highest death rate from COVID of any nation on earth.
Well, let me just say, because I've heard you say that before on the death rate from COVID. It's not accurate.
One of the other things too that they don't want to mention that a lot of people haven't been saying though is that the chance of how many people have died from those boosters in the COVID shots and stuff like that. But we're gonna still call them COVID deaths, yet they were caused by the vaccines and the boosters.
Because
and let's not forget that you get your 7th booster doesn't work unless you get your 8th booster. Oh, your 8th booster doesn't work unless you get the 9th booster. Oh, it's August now, so you probably need your 20th booster.
Public health experts say that there is a combination of factors that went into that: higher rates of chronic illnesses, which I know you would agree with, gaps to our healthcare system, and misinformation about vaccines.
You just said what I said was inaccurate. What I said was accurate. We have the highest death rate from COVID of any place.
There are other countries that had higher, but
you can argue about why we had that, but nobody can tell you. I mean, we have, as you say, we have the highest chronic disease burden in the world. But
somebody could have died from falling off a roof. I know for a fact some of these doctors were like, COVID. Oh, car crash, COVID. Plane crash, COVID. Someone tripped on the stairs, COVID. Guarantee you.
Fauci was mismanaging the COVID pandemic, and he was doing it under the Biden administration. President Trump wanted to end the lockdowns. And in fact, in Anthony Fauci's diaries, he talks about how President Trump is calling him every day, trying to get him to reopen the country.
Yeah, well, the lockdowns were done by governors. I mean, certainly Anthony Fauci and the president had opinions, but the lockdowns were done by governors, and largely because they were hearing from hospitals saying that their ICUs were overrun and they needed some help while that was happening.
Well,
I've heard different. I also heard that they were not saying that there were hospitals. I do believe there's probably hospitals that were completely filled, right? But I believe that they're easily going to say they are filled because they're going to get more money from the government and stuff. So that way they'd be like, oh, we need more help, we need more money. We're going to take care of these people because they got COVID, okay? So if you don't give us money, people are going to die. So we had the whole trying to make you feel bad, like most of the fraud that's going on right now. So I guarantee you a lot of this, like the statistics that they have right now, especially from hospitals, are not going to be accurate in any type way because it's always, end of the day, about money.
It's not true. What you're saying is not true. No, they were doing it because Anthony Fauci was telling them from the top, you need to lock down. There were ICUs that were empty all over the country, including in New York at the height.
I'm asking you, I'm going to go back to what I asked you at the beginning, which is President Trump. And he was the guy in charge. And
No, it might have happened during when Trump was like in office, man. But let's like, so we're gonna show no responsibility for Joe whatsoever. Joe Biden didn't do anything wrong. It's not like that. He was in 4 years of office in majority of this whole COVID thing, and not only that, trying to make us and force us to doing mandates and stuff that we have to have our shots and stuff. Otherwise, you'll get fired, or if you don't do that, you're not gonna get certain privileges. We're gonna pretend none of that happened. Majority of this shit was during Joe Biden's term, but we're gonna keep throwing it on Trump under the bus. You
tweeted back in 2024 that he let bureaucrats like Anthony Fauci shut down the entire country. Again, the president was in charge.
The president was trying to reopen the country when he left. The country was kept closed for another year, almost a year and a half after that.
Let's talk about how to prevent the next pandemic.
This is why. That type of talk, when I heard that, my ear just, I've completely widened out. Because I'm going to tell you, that right there tells me, because they're always, when I say they, these agenda people, most of these media, Satanists, Illuminati, Masons, whatever you want to call them, whatever they want to call themselves, I don't care. They're a bunch of clowns to me. Anyways, though, when I heard that, I automatically know they're going to try to do this shit again. They're going to try to do it again. This is why I'm doing on top of this. I know I'm probably not going to get a bunch of people, but at least I'll maybe be able to wake up one or two of you. Maybe you go and make your own videos or whatnot. But I'm telling you, I'm not falling for this. None of us should be falling for this. They're gonna do it again. I've always known. A lot of us all probably already know. Probably if anyone who's watching this probably feels the same way as me. But I gotta make sure that we're on the same page here. I am not gonna go through all this again. Our kids should not have to go through all this again. And I'm telling you, they're gonna try to do it again. They're even saying it in a different way. They're trying to protect themselves in how they say it. But they're gonna try to do it again.
Because there's a lot of litigating and relitigating that I don't think is really helpful to do with regard to COVID. And the question is about so-called gain of function, which for people who aren't entirely clear about it, it is a highly risky research process that includes manipulating a virus to study how it behaves as it evolves. Now, what scientists say is that although it's controversial, it's necessary to prepare for the next pandemic, to get ahead.
Yeah, trying to make it, seem like, okay, we're just trying to prepare, which I get it, but I already know where this is going. I've already seen this episode. I've already seen it. So I that's why I'm doing this.
To figure out what these viruses can do. What you want to end this gain of function research. Some scientists say, isn't it better just to put better guardrails around it?
People have been trying to put guardrails around it for generations, and it hasn't worked. And clearly, COVID-19 pandemic and many other global pandemics that we have come from gain-of-function research. The RSV epidemic that we have, that is the biggest killer of kids in this country today, came from these kind of experiments. The Lyme disease almost certainly came from this kind of research. So, and the scientists who you say are experts are making the argument that this is necessary for pandemic response. Can I point to one instance in history where research that came out of this kind of experimentation has actually provided us something beneficial?
So how do you prepare then? How do you prepare for the next pandemic? I mean, that's literally part of your job now, because experts think it's going to happen within the next 10 years again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did.
You can only do so much, and I'm going to let you know, the more population gets, and this goes even with animals, especially with animals, but I'm going to tell you, when populations get a certain amount and they start getting higher, the higher chances are that there's going to be diseases, there's going to be viruses and stuff like that. There's going to be certain type of flus, which is basically what COVID was to me, and it might have been more of a heavier level of it, form of it, but I'm going to tell you, COVID was just the flu, okay? There's a lot of people that had died that like grandma and grandpas and stuff that we left alone because they told us or they forced us to leave them in like in hospice and stuff, so they died alone when probably we could have actually been around them. Your immune system also can get better on its own. So like once you have a certain type flu or a flu, you can get basically you can evolve from it in a sense. So you don't have to take shots all the time. Sometimes they help. It just depends on what it is, and I guess on what your immune system is. But your immune system can fight it on its own, and they don't want you to know this. They want to make sure that you don't have they want to try to keep you as dumb as possible. Okay, that is one of the agendas that this media is going to keep pressing, and it will not stop. You do not hate the media enough.
Virtually everything wrong the last time.
So what about now?
The principal thing that we need to do is we need to listen to what's happening to doctors on the ground. There are 15 million frontline physicians around the world. They're mainly now connected through the internet. We can tell on the front lines what's working and what's not. If we had listened to those doctors during the COVID pandemic, we would have saved potentially millions of lives. There were therapeutics out there that were working. There were doctors that were having no deaths from COVID and treating, in some cases, thousands of patients. And we weren't listening to them. Instead, we were doing the opposite. We were shutting them down. And then, Dana, the other thing that I would say is that we need to protect our constitutional rights.
She's about to get really mad about this because, again, with the agenda, they don't want you knowing your rights. They don't want you having your constitution rights because they want to control you. They are part of, they get paid to make sure they make you feel this way, that you stay dumb, okay? They are paid to make sure that you stay dumb, okay?
That is the primary obligation.
Oh, shit. It's okay, it'll help because they're going to try to copyright my stuff if I don't do stuff like this anyways, I guess. So that kind of worked out.
Doctors that were having no deaths from COVID and treating, in some cases, thousands of patients. And we weren't listening to them. Instead, we were doing the opposite. We were shutting them down. And then, Dana, the other thing that I would say is that we need to protect our constitutional rights. That is the primary obligation of our country.
Mean?
Well, during COVID, we completely dismantled our constitutional rights. We began censoring people in violation of the First Amendment.
Yeah, you weren't even allowed to say anything bad about COVID. All day you can be like, you need to wear a mask or I'm going to shame you. You can be like that all day if you had that type of platform. But if you have that type of platform where you're like, man, we should question this. There's not really any statistics in saying what can happen or can't happen. And not only that, a lot of us were even saying that people were, even especially the youngins, man, were getting like heart attacks. Someone that's 18, 17, 16, 15 years old should not be getting heart attacks. And it just so happens that the space-time period from after them getting their boosters in the COVID shot, this happened to them. It just so happens. They don't want you talking about it because there's true statistics to it.
I'm not. You're saying what not to do. I'm asking what to do. But I want to talk about.
That's something to do. That is the number one priority. We protect the Constitution. The Constitution was.
Forgive me, but you're talking about rights, and I'm asking about a potential public health crisis.
Oh my goodness! Don't talk about your rights.
That is coming, but I do want to
And one of the mistakes we made in the last time was suppressing those rights so people weren't being heard. The doctors who were saying you're doing it wrong were being marginalized and vilified.
Yeah,
and
because again, I really want to move on, but.
Yeah,
I really want to move on. Okay, we can't talk about this because this could hurt my job.
We're saying you were. Yes, I do.
Part of the problem.
No, I wasn't part of the problem.
There was absolute press malpractice. You weren't allowing
Mr. Secretary.
Your job
is
a fierce skepticism toward authority, and
yes,
you weren't doing that. You were beating
My
up
job
on people
is also
who were dissenting.
No. Okay, you want to sit here and attack me, or do you want to have conversations about public health? I'm not attacking you. I'm asking questions about how to prevent the next pandemic.
Question, and I'll tell you.
That's what I'm trying to do. But I also don't.
I love how she keeps going through her papers like she has something important there to to follow through. They don't change. So like, there's no really too much of, well, here's this, or oh, here's this right here. There's none of that. It's just fiddling with papers. It's an act.
Want to use this interview to allow you to say things that aren't entirely true. You're talking about therapeutics, fine. It is also factually true that the COVID vaccine worked. The COVID vaccine prevented deaths. There is data upon data upon data. Let's talk about the measles, please, because this is something that is happening as we speak. The cases in the U.S.
vaccine protected children.
I think that what I have talked to scientists and doctors about.
Scientists, can you look?
I love how we're supposed to follow the science, but yet we can't understand that there's only two genders. I just want to make that point.
Can you show me one study
Yes, I can.
that shows that
I can.
children were protected by the COVID vaccine?
I can tell you that
That
there are.
vaccine did more good than harm to children. Can you show me one study that shows that?
I can tell you that when it comes to the vaccine, there have been studies that show that because of vaccine disinformation, there could have been 100 to 200,000 lives in the U.S. saved. But because people didn't get the vaccine, that's why. I'm not saying that it entirely.
You are saying nonsense. You are saying something that you cannot show me a single study.
I am not saying nonsense.
You are talking what somebody told you.
Excuse me.
And you.
She's going by hearsay. Which she won't do. But I want to be like the same thing with him. Show me this source. Where is this source? What doctor or doctors? It really should be plural, anyways. Where's these doctors? Where are these colleges professors that say and show what that is true if you didn't get a vaccine, that it would actually help, or that if you got the vaccine that it would help? There's none of that. There's probably not even on either or, but I'm gonna tell you, you can have an immune system. I'm sure I got it 2 or 3 times, and I promise you this, that my body can fight it now, 100%.
Cite me the study.
What
study?
No, what studies are you talking about? You're talking about studies that actually don't exist. I want to talk about.
Cite me the study that you're talking about.
I am not here to defend.
Studies. Cite me the study.
This is not productive. I am not here to defend all of the.
This is not productive because you're proving me wrong.
Let me
you're
finish.
talking nonsense. You're making assertions you can't support, and then when I call you on them, you're telling me that I'm arguing.
Okay, do you want to talk about assertions that you can't support? I'll get there in a second. Let me just say, for the record, that I am not saying that the entire way that the COVID reaction was accurate. It was a scary time. And people made mistakes. Absolutely.
People made mistakes. Fauci just made some mistakes. That's all. That's all. That's all.
You were scaring people.
Why are you saying that?
Because that was the job of CNN.
Okay.
Was to put the chyrons up about how many people are dying.
We were trying to we were listening to the leaders in this country, including the president who had.
Okay. So, yeah, but so she was just saying about how we're going to blame the governors. They're the ones. It's not Joe Biden's fault. It's the governors that made sure that we had the mandates and all that. Blame the governors. And yeah, but they were like, we're listening to the leaders. But and then she's going to defend Fauci and whatnot and say he was just saying his opinion. It was just an opinion. And then she's going to say, let's listen to the leaders in this country. Was Fauci not all over the place of whenever the press secretary came out and whatnot? Was Fauci there like more than every single day almost? That's saying you better wear your masks. You better wear your masks, or you'll be shamed. There's that going on, but yet she is gonna say that we were just listening to the leaders of the country. Please, you can't have it both ways. You got to pick a lane. I don't want to tell you.
A daily press conference explaining what was going on and trying to listen.
Were you listening?
I want to talk to measles.
Actually, were you reading the science yourself?
Measles cases in the U.S. just reached a 35-year high.
Missourians are.
And bear with me.
How many people are?
We were trying to. We were listening. year in a row. 93% of these cases are among the unvaccinated. The outbreak is happening on your watch. And even before becoming HHS secretary for years, you've been one of the leading voices questioning the efficacy of vaccines. Do you accept some responsibility for this measles outbreak?
Absolutely not. First of all, this is an international outbreak. So, and we're doing better at handling it than any country in the world. Mexico has 15 times the amount of measles per capita that we have. Canada has 4 times the amount of measles. England has 2 times the amount of measles. Did I cause those measles outbreaks?
I go around people every single day, and I don't know how long. Like, I'm just the first today while I was hearing about this measles thing. Not one person had anyone, and I see lots of people. I see probably dozens upon dozens of people, different people a day. Not one person said, "Oh, I had the measles," or "Oh, my such and such family member had the measles," or "My friend had the measles." Now, I've never heard the word measles. Like, I know what it is in a sense, but I never heard the word this like entire last year. I'm just now hearing the word measles.
You're the most famous.
Did I cause 137,000 cases?
You're the most famous vaccine skeptic on the planet.
Let me tell you, because actually Anthony Fauci in his diaries answers the question about why we're having a measles outbreak right now. The reason we're having a measles outbreak because of the COVID lockdowns, because people didn't, like children, during that period did not get vaccinated. And in his diaries, he says this is going to cause massive outbreaks of measles and more children, he says, this are going to die. Let me finish, because you could accuse me of something. Now, let me.
No, I didn't. I asked you a question.
Yeah, let me.
So they're trying, like I'm telling you, man, they want you to keep being that type of person that, like, I want make sure you stay at home, be scared to go outside, make sure you DoorDash and order all your groceries. Other bad things are going to happen to you if you don't. They want to try to make sure you stay isolated. They don't want you going out there talking to other people that have other ideas. They want you to make sure you stay on your phones and that you're only watching with their algorithm and not some random algorithm where you might get a good idea from somebody about how the real world is going right now. So that's the whole objective in the long run, that with the whole TikTok, YouTube, and everything like that, for them to try to control these things to where we stay scared, to where we don't want to go in the world, so that way they can just say whatever they want on the TV or YouTube, like I was saying, and stuff like that, and make sure you stay in your lane, because they don't want you wandering off and having your own ideas, because they want control. That is the whole plan. And not only that, they're going to try to scare you, saying, and that's why the whole let out immigrants everywhere and stuff like that, because they want you to be fear-mongered. It's all about fear. And I'm going to tell you, these are Satanist minions, whether they know it or not. This is how Satan's working, and the whole point, end of the day, is try to fear-monger you. That is the point. That is the objective of Satan right now. That is one of many tools that he's doing right now.
I'll give you the answer. He says in his diaries, more children are going to die from measles because of these lockdowns than COVID. So if you want to know, and that age group that should have gotten the MMR when they're 18 months and didn't get it, they're the ones being infected. The people in this country, and we have stopped the outbreaks at record speed in South Carolina, in Texas, in Utah, in Virginia. We've done better than any country in the world. I dispatch immediately the epidemic intelligence services to those states. I get on the phone with the governor and we stop them in their tracks. Nobody else has been able to do that.
You have a bully pulpit.
Let me tell you just one last thing.
Go ahead.
The communities that are suffering from measles are almost all religious communities that just don't vaccinate. The Mennonites have not vaccinated since 1796, since Edward Jenner invented the smallpox vaccine. It's hard to blame that. I mean, as much as you want to blame.
No, I don't want to blame you. I'm asking you because you have.
I'm asking you because we're trying to put the blame on somebody. We don't want to take any responsibility.
A very powerful voice on these issues for people who are skeptical. Let me finish. Let me finish.
I've never questioned the efficacy of the MMR vaccine.
Okay, let me finish. What I want you to do is please use your bully pulpit to right now, as we're getting close to back to school, are you willing to say to parents who have not vaccinated their kids that they should vaccinate their kids for measles because it is safe and it will help them save their children's lives.
We tell people.
That fear mongering. I'm telling you.
People on my websites, my public
Right now,
I'll
look
say
into the
it right
camera.
now that parents should get their children vaccinated for measles. A measles vaccine is effective. It stops measles in about 97% of the cases. But people should get vaccinated.
Can I ask you, the Wall Street Journal reported that the president is pressuring you to conduct studies probing the link between vaccines and autism. Is that true?
Did you say probing the link?
I'm just quoting the Wall Street Journal, that the president wants you to go further to probe the link between autism and vaccines.
He certainly does.
Okay. Now, have you talked to him about medical research that have studied this for 25 years and found no link between autism and vaccines? And just this is my question here, because I don't want to litigate that. My question is, why not, because you are HHS secretary now, why not study what could cause autism, which scientists do believe starts with fetal brain development? Why not do some studies on that, whether you're an environmental lawyer, whether they're environmental.
I'm going to tell you, anything, especially what this woman tells you or tells you not to do, I would be doing the opposite. I would still be doing my own thing and trying to make sure I am checking every single thing on everything. But if once I find out you tell me not to do something, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna stay on top of that. Or if you told me to do something, I'm gonna be like, nah, I probably shouldn't have to do that. But I'm not. It's not like entirely 100%. I'm not trying to be a child like how they are and stuff like that. But usually, I'm just trying to say they usually say whatever they don't want you to do or don't do, or do or don't do. You know what I'm saying? They tell on themselves. Like it's a nonstop pattern. It will never. I don't think it can change. You know, the light, the truth is coming out, and I'm telling you, it's getting easier and easier to spot out.
Factors that go into contributing to a predisposed genetic situation.
Well, let me say this first. We're doing all those things, and that's one of the ways that we found Tylenol. There's 73 studies out there that link Tylenol exposure during later pregnancy and during the perinatal period to autism onset.
I still think it's funny that certain people just, as soon as Trump said, "Oh, you shouldn't take Tylenol," and then there was videos left and right of them taking Tylenol and stuff like that, bro. That's a whole other level of doing what I was in a sense saying. I'm just saying, just pointing out. I'm just pointing out of what they are doing. They say whatever they say, or they say that, oh, there's a lot of fraud going on in such and such Republican or whatnot. More than likely they're doing it. Oh, Republicans are doing such and such and such and such. More than likely they're doing it. That's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. Or don't look into this and that. There's nothing there. Don't look into Pizzagate. You can't even hashtag Pizzagate anymore because they did away with it. The fact that you can't even look at that on YouTube. There's videos, but you can't hashtag Pizzagate and then link into it because they say, oh, it's disproven. In what way is it disproven? Yet it's all over the Epstein files. So that's the stuff I'm trying to tell you. If they're trying to hide something from you, more than likely there's something to it. That's what I'm trying to say.
But you are wrong when you say that this issue has been studied. It has been studied, and you're rolling your eyes, Dan. But
I am, because I don't want to have you use our air to say this. There have been more than 40 studies involving 5.6 million people to conclude there is no link between vaccines and autism. This is the head.
What studies? What studies? Please say them. You're so smart. Tell us the damn links. Show us the links. Show us the studies. Please.
Of the Committee of Infectious Diseases for the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Now let me tell you what the Institute of Medicine says, which is the National Academy of Sciences, which is the ultimate arbiter on vaccine safety, and which it does not have an interest in this debate. It says that none of the 8 vaccines that are administered during the first 6 months of life have ever been studied for relationship to autism. It found 2 studies, one on the DTP vaccine that show that it does cause autism, and one on the hepatitis B vaccine that again suggests that it does cause autism. The Institute of Medicine dismissed those two studies because they were based on CDC's database. The studies that you're referring to are all for one vaccine, the MMR vaccine, or one ingredient, thimerosal.
So you are actually looking at, you're starting new studies to try to link autism, but you're also telling me.
I'm not trying to link autism to anything. I'm trying to find out why is autism.
Are you also trying to find out how it interacts with people's DNA, what's predisposed to?
I still love the fact that she doesn't want to show any of her studies or what studies that she got some of her information that disproves what he's saying. But she can say hearsay stuff all day, but no one's going to question it.
To have an autistic child, are you doing both?
Yeah, but Dana, you probably don't understand this because you're not a scientist. But genes
you're not either.
Genes don't cause epidemics.
I understand genes. Epidemics.
Provide a vulnerability.
A gene provides environmental. That's what I'm asking. Are you studying the environmental
We're looking
exposure?
at all the different environmental exposures, but your statement, you have been fooled. Your statement that this has been studied is not true. It's categorically not true. Not for any of this stuff.
It is considered.
Considered by who?
By every scientist who has studied this.
That is not.
What scientists? Oh my God! Like, who? How is it? And how do you fall for this? Anyone who's like, oh, she's in the right and he's in the wrong. This is like, where's your brain? She has nothing to back up what she is saying. If there's nothing to back up what someone is saying, more than likely it's just hearsay. So you probably shouldn't take that person serious. Really.
True. I can give you hundreds of scientists who have looked at this.
So on the one hand, do you understand why people aren't getting
the Academy of Sciences? What greater authority?
Do you understand why people are not getting measles vaccines? Because they're hearing you say that it could cause.
You're trying to change the subject.
I'm not. It's very much related.
Show me one of the studies that's been done on the first 8 the vaccines during the first 6 months of life. You will not find them. The National Academy of Sciences.
So if that's the case, then why are you telling people to get the measles vaccine?
Because that is one of the vaccines that has been studied.
Okay.
It's the only one that has been studied.
Do you want people to get the MMR vaccine?
Yeah, I said that already.
Okay, so
I know.
Again, we're almost done. Not one thing about Joe Biden. Not once. Even though that it was majority of his in his term. But we're not going to say Joe Biden, the word, or even muffle the word Joe Biden in any type way when he was dealing with this pandemic. Not once. Not once. Not Crackle Harris. No one. Democrat. We're just going to just talk shit about Trump and then say that it was a Republican. Oh, Republicans are dumb. They're not listening to the science. I have studies. It's considered by every scientist that I have on my paper, but I can't tell you the names even though they're in front of me.
You're flustered now, and it is.
I'm not flustered at all. I am frustrated.
The
reason I'm frustrated is because
you're lying and you're getting caught in it.
You are the HHS secretary, and you are talking about things that lead to vaccine hesitancy in this country, and it is something that causes problems for people when there is not anything.
Let me ask you something. Do you see your job as ending vaccine hesitancy, or do you see your job as telling the truth to the American people?
I see my job as telling the truth, and
aha! It's a joke.
The truth is that there is study after study after study. It's one of the most studied things out there in science.
You're repeating
and it is
like a parrot. You're repeating
100.
So are you?
Like a parrot.
So
I've actually read the science. You don't want to here and debate the science.
I'm not debating this view.
Of course you won't.
No, because I'm not debating.
All you know how to do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's what you did during COVID. Now we know that Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about masks, about social distancing, about natural immunity, about the transmission from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying, and you were punishing people for not trusting the experts. And now you're rolling out the experts again.
Yes.
To talk about something that you have no personal knowledge of.
Okay, well, guess what? That is my job, to talk to
That is my job.
people.
Your job is to
Am I
tell the
allowed to
truth
talk?
to the American
Yes,
public.
yes. And my job
And
is
to
to
be-
get as
and
much
to-
information as I
and to
can. And
maintain-
what
And do exactly what I'm told to say.
we were doing,
A posture
what we were
of
doing,
fierce skepticism
what we
toward
were
government
doing
authority.
in COVID and still, with regard
Fear mongering.
to these vaccines, is getting the best information, the best science that we can, and putting it out there. And sir, what you are doing is causing
getting the best
information
science
to be
from
out there that
somebody
is
who's lying
not
to you.
accurate.
Who was lying to
The
you?
National Academy of Sciences, which you just cited
Oh.
in November, said we support the statement that vaccines do not cause autism. This is the National Academy of Sciences that you just talked about.
Look at the National Academy of Science most recent report,
Okay.
and you'll see.
I want to ask you one other question, because it's something that really.
That he did make a good point. I haven't checked into that and stuff like that though, but check them dates. Anytime that they, especially them, they think they got you on something, but I'm gonna tell you, check them dates. Always check your dates on everything. So I even show this right now. So this was on August 3rd, 2026. Okay? Always check your dates with any information that you look at. Always check the dates, all right?
really did help Donald Trump get elected, and that is the MAHA movement, and specifically the question of processed foods.
Of
And
what?
processed foods, and the fact that people want to feel that their food is safe. My understanding is that you are pushing for reforms on food safety and ultra-processed foods that have been slowed, in some cases blocked, by people in the administration who are working on behalf of the industry. Is that true?
No, that is not true.
So you feel that you'll be able to get these reforms done without any problems?
I think the two big reforms that you're probably talking about is ultra processed food definition
Exactly.
and the GRAS standards.
Yes.
And they've both gone through extensive interagency process. I'm very confident that we will get them both out there within probably a month.
Well, I'm sorry that this, and that's good news for people who are very moms, and I'm one of them, who are very worried about making sure that our kids eat food and we eat food that is healthy. I'm sorry that this turned into a very contentious conversation, and my job is to try to get the best information out there. And it does concern me when you come in and say things that have I take what you're saying have been people who have scientific backgrounds, and who I know have tried to talk to you as well. Thank you for coming in.
Amendment.
Alrighty. Well, that was the interview with RFK at CNN with Dana. Anyways, I'm going to continue on my research. I promise you that I'm going to stay on top of certain things. Make sure you pay attention to them dates on the things that they're trying to say that has happened or not happened. Right now, BS Now, MSNBC, CNN, they're trying to do away with a lot of stuff right now. It's gonna be hard for you to find out, like Rachel Maddow with her saying that you follow the science. If you take the COVID shot, you can't get the COVID. You can't get it. She said that stuff. I know she was on CNN, but I'm gonna tell you, she said those words exact, and it's really hard to find that video. I know there's people out there trying to put that information out, and I'm gonna tell you, man, look. You need to look for this certain stuff, because they're going to try to erase this stuff, man. And eventually it's going to be that whole thing too here in the future, where they're going to try to erase anything and all the stupid stuff they did with Autopen Joe Biden. And pretty much a lot of the stuff they did in their administrations, even with Obama, Clinton, Bush, all of them, man. They're going to try to do away with this information. They're going to try to erase it. They're going to act like it never happened, bro. And that's just part of the whole programming. And then they're going to be resetting the AI. Like, it's already in the process. They're trying their best. But thank you to people like me, or most of y'all this is how I even ran into this. Doc Rich, who I ran into, who introduced this stuff to me, and that's how I knew about this. So thanks to Doc Rich, DOC Rich. Anyways, though, he's good. I consider a reporter. Anyways, though, stay good. Appreciate y'all. I love you all. Godspeed.